everyone and welcome to today's session. Karnataka has taken a historic step that now becoming a major discussion across India. For the first time, an Indian state has introduced a dedicated law to curb the hate speech and hate crimes. This law is called the Karnataka Hate Speech and Hate Crimes Prevention Bill 2025. Why is this so important? Because although the hate speech is a term we hear every day in politics, on television debate, on social media, even in our classroom, this criminal law have never actually defined what hate speech means. We can say Karnataka is the first state to try to fill this long-standing gap. So what exactly does this new bill talk about? The new bill begin with clearly defining what is hate speech. According to the bill, a hate speech which including any expression which is spoken, written, visual or online that causes injury, insult or disharmony against a person or a group on the basis of religion, caste, race, gender, sexual orientation, place of birth or disability. This clearly is significant because for years different people interpreted hate speech differently. Now we can say at least in Karnataka there is one standard definition. But the bill does not stop there. It introduces a new concept which is known as collective liability. This means if a hate speech is linked to an organization which we can say a group, a committee, a political outfit or even the social institution, then the people holding responsibility within the organization can also be punished. This is important because hate speech does not always spread through individual alone. Sometimes it spread through organized platform and this bill formally recognized that. And other important point, the bill also step into the digital world. We know that today most hate spread faster through screen than through the streets. So the Karnataka government has given itself a power to block or remove hateful content online. This connects the law to the real world behavior which acknowledging the how social media which amplify the tension, rumors and polarization. To understand why this law is matters, we need to step back and look at India's existing legal systems. We know that India already had a scattered provision that deal with the hate speech like section 196 of BNS which punish promoting the enmity between groups and the section 299 which punish deliberate attempt to outrage the religious feelings. And there are some other laws which also protect against the hate speech like SC/ST Act and also the Protection of Civil Rights Act and the Representation of Peoples Act which talk about the crimes against the hate speech. But the problem was always the same. None of this law give a clean, comprehensive definition of hate speech. This is why the different courts in India which they struggled and the police were there hesitated and the enforcement remained inconsistent. In fact, in 2050, when the section 66A of the IT Act was struck down in the Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case, the Supreme Court of India itself said the definition in the law was too vague. The word like annoyance and insult were not good enough to restrict the free speech. So the court removed the entire section. This left India without a specific tool to control the online speech. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court of India kept arising the alarms. There is a case called Shaheen Abdullah versus Union of India case 2022. The Supreme Court of India criticized the rising climate of hate and ordered the police to take action even without a complaint. There is another case is called Tahsin Punnewala 2018. The Supreme Court of India issued a guideline to stop mob lynching, violence, which was triggered by hate speech. And in other case, there is a case which is known as Pravasi Balai Sangadan, which was happened in 2014. The Supreme Court of India asked the Law Commission to study the hate speech, which they asked the Law Commission to suggest the reforms to criminalize the hate speech. For these cases, one thing became clear. India need a better law, but the country kept waiting. And other important point you should not hear basis of this discussion, there are several committees tried to push for reforms. The first committee we can talk about in this discussion is Law Commission. The Law Commission in 2017 which suggested adding a new section to the IPC to criminalize the incitement to hatred. Second committee which is known as Vishwanatha Committee. The Vishwanatha Committee proposed a detailed amendment which is covering religion, caste, race, gender identity and sexual orientation and more. And there is a other committee also you should not regarding to the hate speech is Hesburgh Committee. This committee recommended new punishment for insulting or targeting the specific community. And also in 2022, a private member even introduced a national hate speech bill, but it was never passed in our parliament. So what the Karnataka has done, not a sudden, it is a first real action after years of proposal, discussion and warning. But the big question and the one student may ask is, will this work? For any hate speech, the law to work, India must focus on three pillars. First, I will say legal clarity. This means the law must punish only the speech that incite the violence or discrimination, not the speech that merely disagree or criticize. Second, strong enforcement, which means the police, the courts and the institution must act without bias and penalties must be proportionate. Third, education and awareness. The society must learn to resist the misinformation, stereotypes and online radicalization. The laws alone cannot change the behavior. People must change their understanding and finally India must also think internationally, which we can say that hate speech today is a global, it spread through the platforms that cross borders. We can have an example during Operation Sindoor and all. So the country must coordinate, they share strategies and develop system to curb the online extremism. In the end, the Karnataka new bill is a major step that defining and controlling the hate speech in India. It fill a gap in the national law, have left often for the decade, but its success depends on how it is implemented, how fairly it is used. And we can say that protecting the social harmony and preserving the freedom of expression is more important. If done right, this could become a model for entire country. If done poorly, it could become just another law on paper. Thank you for listening. I hope today's session helped you to understand not only what the Karnataka bill contains, but also why it matters and how it fits into a larger struggle against the hate speech in India. Stay curious, keep learning, and I will see you all in the next session. Thank you.